G'day everyone, welcome back to Calling Bullsh. This week we're going to be talking about inflation and why some of the causes and some of the solutions that we're talking about at the moment are absolute bullshit. Inflation is actually a really big problem in economics, and particularly when we think about it in the applied setting, like how governments manage the economy. Basically, there are two different aspects of it. You can think about how the prices of things that we need keep going up and up, or more importantly, we can think about the purchasing power of our money, which means the wages that we get start buying less and less goods. And when this starts to happen, we're really up shit creek without a paddle. And one of the big problems that we're facing at the moment with inflation is that we can't decide on what is actually causing it. Under traditional economic theory, we would assume that there are three main reasons why inflation might be driven higher. Now, the first one is a demand pull, which is when the aggregate demand or the amount of money that we're willing to spend as people in the economy rises. So when wages are increasing, people might want to buy more things or better things or more of it. Now, this one's absolutely bullshit because wages have been stagnant pretty much my entire life.
You got greedy, Martin.
So we know that it's not a demand pull. The second option is that it could be a cost push, which is when the amount or the supply of goods and services starts to shrink. Now, given that we just came through a coronavirus pandemic that absolutely shattered global supply chains, it's pretty likely that this is playing a really big part in the current inflationary crisis. However, the third aspect could be a really important one to consider as well, and that is inflationary expectations. So when we are expecting inflation to rise, people start acting accordingly. People who produce goods and services start raising their prices because they're worried that other people will be raising their prices. Now, this is really problematic in our economy. Now, it's problematic because of the solutions that we're using to solve a problem we're not sure what the causes are. And generally in Australia, when we don't know what we're doing with inflation, we start raising interest rates. And just have a look at how the central bank governor talks about this problem.
People really forgot about how corrosive inflation was and how it eroded your savings, how it made income inequality worse, how it really hurt the poor. So I think we've forgotten about that because it's 30 years since we lived in that world, and our job as the country's central bank is to make sure that doesn't happen, and part of the way we do that is to remind people of the dangers of it.
Now, setting aside for the moment that for some reason he decided to deliver that information with like the tone and intonation of a Bond villain or Mussolini, it's really problematic because raising interest rates won't stop the current inflationary crisis. Raising interest rates does not solve our supply issues or lower people's expectations that inflation is going to continue. It's a classic case of when all you've got is a hammer, everything you see is a nail. And that's why inflation in this instance is absolute bullshit. Okay, that's it for another episode. So until next time, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably bullshit.